Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some MTG Arena pack opening. It's been quite a bit since the last time I did one of these, and that's mostly because my OBS or YouTube or whatever didn't want to, live stream, so I ended up having to pre-record in a very rushed manner to try to fit it into the time frame, and then I believe I premiered it immediately afterward as soon as it was uploaded. So it could be like almost like a live stream. It just, every time I tried 6 or 7 times different things here and there, and almost every single time my kilobytes per second was like garbage. My stream health bars or whatever were like 1 and in the red. And I don't know, because the very next time I tried to stream after that, the very next day that I was successfully streaming after that, it had a little bit of a hiccups toward the beginning, but it smoothed out and it was fine. But it wasn't in the beginning, it was like 20 minutes in, so I didn't even, I just glanced over, I'm like, oh, that's not good, and then by the time I got done addressing it, it was back to normal. So I'm like, I don't know where the issue lies, because my internet is fine. I tested it during my attempts to do the last one live. So it was either OBS having a mental breakdown or YouTube having some kind of weird communication error with me, because I saw other channels were live during that time, so I'm starting to think it was just OBS. And yeah, so I'm done with the rant. Last time we left off, we were about to open the Ixalan, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it Ixalan, because that's how I read it in my head naturally. And I don't know of any media that I could quickly look up that would say it out loud. So if it's wrong, I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to even say it that much, but we are going to jump right into opening the packs after I clarify that this is now the Epic Games Launcher version of the game and no longer the straight from the website version of the game. The first time I ran this version of the game, it was laggy as hell. I'm glad that it's working a lot better now. Fingers crossed that it stays that way. But let's dive into the first pack. Oh, goody, there's the lag. Okay. It's a good thing I'm pretty much using this game for pack opening streams and not actual gameplay. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's just try to make this as normal as possible. I didn't change any of the settings. It automatically logged back into my account. All the settings and stuff are saved the exact same thing. So I don't know why it's running differently than the old version of the game that I had on here. But it is. So, that aside, let's get to the first card, which is called Rumbling Rockslide, which is a 4-drop sorcery. Rumbling Rockslide deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. And we're already starting off with one that I wish to save for potential deck. So I shall take a picture of it with my phone. And also have hiccups, or just momentary hiccup, I don't know. Anyways, that is a good one. I definitely will be keeping that in mind for future decks, and possibly purchasing of actual card, like physical card, for it. Moving on, Dead Weight, which is a 1-drop enchantment aura. You enchant a creature, enchanted creature gets -2/-2. So, definitely don't enchant one of your own with that. Yeah, that's definitely one to use as a kill card for anything that has 2 or less health. So, useful, cheap, mana wise, not a bad card. Out of Air is a 4-drop instant. instant, not instance. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a creature spell, counter target spell. So it's a potentially really cheap counter spell, especially if you're doing it for creatures. This one I might actually get because like a lot of the ones that are out there are counter target creature spell specifically or counter target sorcery or whatever. So this one's not specific, but if you want it to be 2 less to cast, then it will be. But that's only if like that's specific. So not bad, not bad. Now we got Radiant Smite. What the hell is that creature? And why is it so rotund? I don't know. Anyways, it's a 2-drop instant. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. If you weren't the starting player, you gain 4 life. Cycling Plains. When you cycle Radiant Smite... when you cycle Radiant Smite, if you weren't the starting player, you gain 2 life. That would be a part of a deck that you definitely would want to like insist on not going first. So yeah, that would be really cool. I don't usually use plains or white mana cards, but this is one that I would definitely consider. So we are getting a lot of ones that I would actually use so far in this deck. So that says good things for this expansion. We move on. Compass Gnome is a 2-drop artifact creature gnome. I don't know what kind of gnome you're going for, but I don't think it's very distinguishable as a gnome. It looks more like just the symbol for this expansion. You know, the one like right there on the card. Yeah. Anyways, when Compass Gnome enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card or cave card. Reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. Not sure what a cave card is. Not something that I'm familiar with, but I have a feeling that we're going to get to know it through these packs today. Okay, apparently that's just what a gnome looks like in this this expansion. Because now we have Hotfoot Gnome. Oh, by the way, this was a 2/1. Forgot to mention that. It's the first creature card of the pack, so I forgot. Wait. Hotfoot Gnome is a 3-drop artifact creature gnome with haste. You can tap it and another target creature gains haste until end of turn. And this is a 3/1. Not a bad card, not one that I'm going to save with a picture, but it's definitely one that if I decide to build a deck and I'm sifting through red cards, I'll probably put it, if I have room, in a deck. Maybe. But overall, it's a pretty good card. Let's see. Ribald Shanty is a 2-drop instant chorus. Starting intensity 2. Okay. This spell deals damage equal to its intensity to target creature or planeswalker. All chorus cards you own intensify by 1. Okay. And it has the perpetual effect descriptor up in the top right corner of the screen. But I don't see the perpetual anything in the card's description. So I don't know if it has anything to do with that or not. It makes it seem like it does, but it doesn't say that it does. So this is a cool card. I'm not sure I'm not going to save this one, because even though it's a damage dealing card, it seems like the precipice for it is unclear, and I don't know what other chorus cards are going to be like, if there's going to be any permanent chorus cards or anything like that. So for right now, make verbal note of it on stream, but I'm not going to take a picture of it or anything to save it. Now we got the last card, which hissed at me. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard that, but it was like, meow. I'm like, okay. Was not expecting that. Mythweaver Puck is a 4-drop legendary creature cat shaman. Mythweaver Puck's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever one or more non-token land enters the battlefield under your control, for each of them, conjure a duplicate of it onto the battlefield. This ability triggers only once each turn. That seems like a very interesting card. But once again, I'm not going to save it. Mostly because I don't really run green, but it's definitely an interesting concept. We're going to move on to the next pack. And we will be starting with Marauding Brinefang. Hold on. Okay. There was I got a notification about my router. From my router. It was just a security scan. Nothing big. But I always have to pay attention to those because, you know, security is important. But anyways, this one is a 7-drop creature dinosaur with Ward 3 and Island Cycling 2. And it is a 6/7. Okay. It's a powerful one. Expensive one. Yeah. I think I might save this one. Just in case I need a beefy creature. Or something. Moving on. We've got Old Tech Archaeologist, which is a 5-drop creature human artificer scout. Artificer scout. The name of the card is plural, but the type of creature is singular. So that's a little confusing. And there's 3 of them in the art, so who's am I to say who is what and where? But I'm just saying that's a little confusing. When Oltec archaeologists enter, and well, that's just grammatically incorrect. I'm sorry, that just threw me through a loop there. It should say, when Oltec archaeologists enter the battlefield, choose 1. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, or scry 3. Yeah, this one does not respect its own plural or singular tense for itself. Because name of the card, plural. Type of creature, singular. description uses plural name, but the rest of the sentence is structured as if it was singular. I don't know who made this card, but they did not run a grammar check on that. Anyways, this card is a 4/4, and it is a very interesting thing to see in the text regard. Okay, moving on. Family Reunion, which is a 2-drop instant. Choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Or creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Not bad. But we're going to move on. Reflection Net. Okay. It is a 3-drop dual color artifact with flash. When Reflection Net enters the battlefield, exile target creature until Reflection Net leaves the battlefield. So it's basically a pacify, except for it uses an exile mechanic instead of just enchanting a creature and they can't do anything. So it's an interesting version or concept of the same idea or goal as the pacify card. And for those that you don't know, pacify is an enchantment where basically your goal is to pacify enemy creatures. So you enchant an enemy creature with it, and it can't block or attack or anything. It's basic, and I don't think it can use its abilities either. So I could be wrong on that one, but I know that it can't attack or defend. It's basically just like your card is useless. It sits there. If another card's ability is like however many other creatures you have, yada da da da, then it still counts towards that. It's not gone. It just useless, kinda. So this one does a very similar effect, with the added bonus of if another creature has like however many creatures you control, yada da, it won't count for it because it's exiled and not just enchanted. So I think I would prefer using one of these instead of Pacify, and the fact that you can play it like an instant because it has flash. That's actually pretty cool. You get your opponent gets their like biggest, baddest, toughest. Like they play a marauding Brine Fang, like from the beginning of this pack, and you're like, oh no, that could do way too much damage. So I'll use this artifact to exile it for as long as this artifact is in play or on the battlefield. So yeah, I haven't even gotten to its second effect yet, but I'm already impressed and I already like it more than Pacify. But if you pay 2 of any color, target creature you control becomes a copy of a creature card exiled with Reflection Net. Activate only as a sorcery and only once. And it's even got a bonus. You're like, oh, you played Marauding Brine Fang. Oh, no. Reflection Net. Now your Marauding Brine Fang is exiled for as long as this artifact is on the battlefield. And I'm going to pay 2 more, and now I have a copy of Marauding Brine Fang, and now I am going to be dealing the 6 damage at some point. Because, Summoning Sickness, not going to be this turn, but unless you use another card to give it like haste or something like that, and boom, yeah, there you go. But, yeah. Significantly better than Pacify. I think it costs 1 more to play. It's obviously a dual color card, which requires two different colors of land and then one of any to play. But I think it's a good trade-off, and I think it's a far better card than Pacify, and I actually will save this one. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not rushing to get this recorded and posted, and I'm actually able to stream it, because now I can go on these little tangents of these cards, because I actually like talking about these cards and actually giving commentary on what I'm doing, instead of just this is what this is, this is what this is, this is what this is, we're moving on because I need to get this done so I can get it out to you guys. Yeah. Sorry about that tangent, though. I'm just really glad that my stuff works again the way it's supposed to, with absolutely no change in how I'm doing it. Anyways, moving on. Goblin Tomb Raider is a 1-drop creature goblin pirate. As long as you control an artifact, Goblin Tomb Raider gets +1/+0 and has haste. It is a 1/2. Alright. Pretty basic, pretty standard card. No complaints. Not a pretty good deal for a 1-mana card. So, nice. Moving on, we have Staggering Size. Is a 2-drop instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. Alright. That's a solid card. No complaints. It's an even cheap mana cost, so really useful, very utilitarian. I believe it's the right term for that. But yeah. Alright, moving on to the next one. We've got Merfolk Tunnel Guide, which is a 2-drop dual color card. Creature, Merfolk Wizard. When Merfolk Tunnel Guide enters the battlefield, you get a 3-time boon. Oh. This is my first time dealing with something more than a 1-time boon, so that's neat. It says, whenever one or more merfolk enter the battlefield under your control, target merfolk creature you control explores. And explore is reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand, and if it's a land, I misspoke. It's reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. I can't really think of an instant where you would want to put it in your graveyard. Unless you're just desperately needing mana and be like, I don't want to pull this next turn, so I need this to be gone. So, I don't know. Anyway, and it's a 2/2, the card. And now we will move on to the last card, which is Legion's Chant, which is a 3-drop sorcery chorus. Okay. Starting intensity 3. Return any number of creature cards with total mana of X or less from your graveyard to this battle, where X is Legion Chance intensity. Okay. All course cards you own intensify by 1. I'm okay. So all chorus cards you own. I didn't pay attention to this with the other chorus card, but it's all ones that you own. So I feel like if, and I'm once again thinking of the physical card game, you should have a little counter thing where every time you do that, you tick that up and like, okay, every single intensity of a card that I'm, because it says own, so that would that says to me, in the library, in the graveyards, in your hand, no matter like what you own in this game, which is the entirety of your deck, no matter where it is, increases the intensity by 1. So have a little counter off to the side, like, okay, everything now has +2 intensity, everything now has +3 intensity, so on forth throughout the game. That way you remember, okay, so this card in my hand, which is starting intensity of 3, now has +4, so now it's a starting intensity of 7, and then the other chorus card that, the other chorus card was like a starting intensity of 2. So if it had like a +3 or whatever, it'd be 5, and it would deal like 5 damage when you did it, which would be cool. So I'm starting to get a thing on this because I believe when the intensify brings the intensity of all the cards that you own up by however many perpetually. So throughout the whole game, it builds up. So if you have more and more things that intensify, aka the chorus, then it like just gradually goes up throughout the game, and it stays that way throughout the whole game, which is why both chorus cards have had the little perpetual effect bubble up next to it on the screen. Once again, I'm brand new to this mechanic, but that's how everything that I'm reading and seeing about this makes sense together. So if I'm wrong, be sure to say something in chat or put it in the comments or something like that. That way I can get a little more clarity on the subject, unless I'm completely right on it and they're like, nope, that's fine, you got it, you're on top of things. It's like, okay. So either way, just so I'm fully informed, either correct me or give me assurance in the comments below when this is a video, or if you're watching live, you can feel free to chat it. Okay, I think we're done with this pack, so we're going to move on to the last one of the just Ixalan. And we're going to start off with Fanatical Offering. Is a 2-drop instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Already don't like it. Draw 2 cards and create a map token. Okay, here's the map token. It's token artifact map. Pay 1 and tap. Sacrifice this artifact. Target creature you control explores. Activate only as a sorcery. And we just dealt with explore. And that's an interesting, but I don't think it's all that like interesting of a Garfield. What did you just do? You guys heard that, right? That seeming like tapping on the window. I turn around and it's Garfield kicking the window. Like if he was itching, but he wasn't. It was his leg was fully behind him. He wasn't scratching himself. He was just thumping the window. Made me feel like someone was outside stalking me. Do you want attention? Do you want everyone to see you? Come here. Come here. Come here. Look upon the troublemaker. Look upon the troublemaker and cast shame upon him. No, you're fine. You're fine. Just get down. Stop kicking windows. Okay? Don't go kicking in the window again. Alright. Okay. So the explore mechanic, I don't think is too interesting, but I think it's okay. The fanatical offering card, I don't think is all that useful unless you really need to draw 2 cards. But I don't need to draw 2 cards that badly. Okay, we're gonna move on to Unlucky Drop, which is a 4-drop instant. Target artifact, creature, or target artifact or creature owner. Okay. Hold on a second. I was not prepared for this kind of wording. Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Okay, there's a better way of wording that. Target an artifact or a creature. Its owner puts it on top or bottom of their library. There was not a grammar check or a proofreading in Ixalan. I swear. Because this is the second card that is like, okay, it may make grammatical sense in this case where the other one didn't. But it was in a very odd wording. Like, okay, I'm used to like a target artifact or target creature or whatever. It's like, no, target artifact or creature's owner. Just going straight to the, like, bypassing the fact that you're targeting an artifact or creature. You're just, okay, that we already know. No, we didn't. That wasn't established. It's like target artifact or creature's owner puts it on the top of it. It's like it. It's like, okay. It's like, hold on a second. What? I don't know. I don't know if that messes with anyone else, but I would much rather have the card established. Okay, you are targeting an artifact or creature. Check. That person who owns it needs to put it on the top or the bottom of their library. Instead of just being like, the owner of whatever, like, even saying the owner of your target puts the target on the top or the bottom of the library. The sentence structure is just, it feels like it's rushed. It feels like it's trying to skip to the point before addressing the subject. Does anyone else feel that way? Please tell me I'm not alone. Okay? Because that, yeah. Anyways, we're going to move on and try to forget that one. Okay. Sunshot Militia is a 2-drop creature, human soldier. Tap 2 untapped artifact or creatures you control. Sunshot Militia deals 1 damage to each opponent. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. And it's a 1/3. Now this one, yes, I have another issue with the wording, but it's a very minor one. Like, I don't really care that it's worded this way. I'm not going to bash anyone who typed this for wording it this way, but specifying that they're untapped artifact and or creatures was unnecessary. You could literally just say tap 2 artifacts and or creatures, because, you know, you can't tap a card that's already tapped. So the prerequisite for tapping said cards would be that they're already untapped to begin with. So that's a minor nitpick. This card could remain worded that way for the rest of eternity, and I would not have a single problem with it. Well, I do have a problem. It unbothered me. I'm unbothered by it because it makes sense. There's nothing wrong with it. It just seemed unnecessary to have it specify that it's untapped. This is not going to turn into me nitpicking every single card's wording and yada yada yada. By the way, if I didn't mention already, it's a 1/3. But yeah, because I don't want to be this Mr. Mega critical, yes, kind of person. But I do want to point out things when I see them. So my goal was not to nitpick the cards, but if I do feel like it's appropriate commentary on a card to nitpick its wording, then I'll try not to dwell on it too much. Just want to point things out. Anyways, we're now on to Landlore Navigator, which is a 2-drop creature orc pirate. Whenever Landlore Navigator attacks, create a map token. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control this turn, conjure a card named Thieving Magpie onto the battlefield. And this is a 2/1. The Thieving Magpie, which it conjures, is a 3-drop. Otherwise, I think if you conjure a card... Yeah, a conjure card is added to the game. Does that mean it's added to your hand, library, battlefield? It doesn't say, and I'm not going to make assumptions, but yeah, that's what I'm getting. Is just like it's on the battlefield, or it most likely would be in your hand because it still has a mana cost on it. So. Oh no, it says conjure it onto the battlefield in the description of the Landlore Navigator. Okay. So, that means it's on the battlefield and you conjure it for free? I mean, there's stipulations you have to meet. So does that mean the Thieving Magpie has to be on like a sideboard or something? I mean, of course, with MTG Arena, it really doesn't matter because it's just going to make it appear on the battlefield regardless. There's no real sideboarding. At least not that I'm aware of. But in the physical game, I'm sure you would have to sideboard it because it has a mana cost. You can play it like a normal card, obviously, because it has all the qualifications, but if you're using Landlore Navigator, you can just conjure it onto the battlefield for free, from what I understand. But anyways, otherwise, normally it is a 4-drop. It is a creature, a bird. It has flying. Whenever Thieving Magpie deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. And it's a 1/3. Okay. And of course the other conjure is the other is the create token is the map token. So okay. I don't know if I would ever use a card like this. Because it's cool that it can conjure a creature card onto the battlefield, from what I'm assuming is for free. Because it doesn't say, there's no cost. It's like at the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, this turn, conjure a card named Thieving Magpie onto the battlefield. So, of course, if you attack, so if you attack with it, if you find a way to get past the summoning sickness, or if this is the turn after you've summoned this card, you attack, that creates a map token, So you got one artifact, and then you play another artifact, then the cost of whatever that other artifact would be the only cost you would be doing when at the end step comes and you conjure the magpie. But it's essentially a free card. So at least that's that's the way I'm interpreting it. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about literally every single one of these cards that I read. And if I am, be sure to point that out in the comments and stuff. Because I'd rather just know how it works from people who are like far more into the newer mechanics and this and that, or semi-newer mechanics, because I know Ixalan's not the newest out. So, yeah. If you're more knowledgeable than me on a subject, just let me know how it works. Be like, this is how this does that. That's not actually free. You have to do something, da 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 da. Like, okay. And I will keep that in mind. So, yeah. We're going to move on to the next card now. Basking Capybara is a 2-drop creature capybara. Descend 4. No description of descend? Okay, it's the first I've seen of it. Doesn't give me a descriptor. That's concerning. Anyways, Basking Capybara gets +3/+0 as long as there are 4 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. Ah. Cool. It's a 1/3. And if there's more than 4, or if there's 4 or more permanents in your graveyard, then it's a 4/3. Okay, moving on. Adaptive Gem Guard is a 4-drop artifact creature gnome. Yep, that confirms it. That's what gnomes look like in Ixalan. Don't know why that's what a gnome looks like in Ixalan, but that's what a gnome looks like in Ixalan. I know I said earlier that I was trying not to say Ixalan because I could be saying it wrong. It could be Ixalan, but I kind of just dropped that. Like, I'm gonna say it because I keep saying this expansion, this pack, da 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 da. I just feel like I'm beating around the bush. So, anyways, tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. I'm not going to go over it again. Put a 1/1 counter on Adaptive Gem Guard. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. And it's a 3/3. Dusk's Landing is a 1-drop sorcery. Draw a card. If an opponent lost life this turn, and you gain life this turn, seek 2 vampire cards instead. To seek a card, put 1 at random from your library into your hand. We're going to have to look through, because it specifies vampire cards. So you have to look. It's not at random, but whatever. I mean, you could always hand over the library to your opponent and be like, find a vampire, but that's putting way too much trust in them. Then they're looking at your cards, and then the whole thing. You could have like a third person that's like, be like, hey, hands it off to them, look for 2 vampires, and then give it back to me. That would also eliminate the need to shuffle or anything, because then if a third person that's not playing looks through the deck, looks through the library, and they just pull out the vampire cards and then they keep it that way, it's not really affecting the game at all. So you've got that going for you. So that's an interesting card. One that I probably never use just because of that concept of seeking. I guess I don't like the seeking mechanic. Okay, last card. Scale Speaker Shepherd is a 3-drop human druid. When Scale Speaker Shepherd enters the battlefield, draft a card from Scale Speaker Shepherd's spellbook. Dinosaur spells you cast cost 1 less to cast is a 2/1. Oh, another 15 card spellbook. I'm not here to go through all that again, so I am going to cycle through them. But I'm not going to explain it. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to show all of them. I'll list off their names and give a few moments for anyone that needs to read them. But I personally don't think I'm going to use it because it's a green card, but yeah. Anyways, you've probably already read through Ancient Imperiosaur already. So we're going to move on to Burning Sun's Avatar. These are a lot of... So far, they're very expensive cards. Or, like, decently expensive cards. Mana-wise. Moving on to Carnage Tyrant. Okay. Charging Monstrosaur. Itali Primal Conqueror. I give it a little extra time because it's kind of wordy. It's also got one of those special mana costs, which I don't remember. I don't remember what that's about, but I know it's something special. So, Galti Primal Hunger. That's a 12-drop card. Oh, it has a spell cost this many less. Okay, not that bad then, and it's a beefy one. So, Gishath Sun's Avatar. Another pretty expensive one, but it's a beefy one. So, this Scale Speaker Shepherd is definitely into some dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are apparently very mana costly and very beefy cards. Quartzwood Crasher. Okay. Regisaur Alpha. That one creates dinosaur tokens with trample. That's also gives your other dinosaurs haste. So that's cool. Ripjaw Raptor. The enrage mechanic seems pretty neat. Shifting Ceratops. Ah. Can't be countered. Okay. Protection from blue. Okay. Territorial Allosaurus. It's got a kicker cost. Fighting, okay. Tranquil Frillback. That one's pretty useful. Not very beefy, not very costly, which goes against the theme that's been addressed so far with these dinosaur cards in the spellbook. But, alright, alright. Verdant Sun's Avatar. Okay. That's actually pretty neat. A little bit of healing going on. Then Zakama Primal Calamity. I think this one deserves a read. This one is a 9-drop triple colored card. It's a legendary creature, an elder dinosaur. It has vigilance, reach, and trample. When Zakama Primal Calamity enters the battlefield, if you cast it, yeah, of course. Who else is gonna cast it? Never mind. Untap all lands you control. That's OP. You can pay 2 of any and 1 red, and Zakama deals 3 damage to target creature. You can tap 2 of any and a green to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Or you can pay 2 of any and 1 white, and you gain 3 life. Whoa! And that is a 9/9. Oh, okay, I'm saving that one. I don't know if you could have it separate from the Scale Speaker Shepherd, but if I could just have that card separately, I would. If I can find it on TCG Player, it's probably expensive. Shit, because it's OP as shit. But, dang. Alright. That's going to do it for this pack, and I think that's going to do it for plain old Ixalan. So, we're going to move on to the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. I'm probably just going to refer to this one as Lost Caverns, so I stopped saying the word that I don't know if I'm saying right. Inverted Iceberg is a 2-drop artifact. When Inverted Iceberg enters the battlefield, mill a card, then draw a card. Craft with artifact, 4 of any and 2 blue. Okay. Craft with artifact, exile another artifact you control, or an artifact from your graveyard. Exile this card, return it transformed under its owner's control, craft only as a sorcery. And of course, I don't like the milling part, because that kind of sucks. Unless it mills an artifact that you can then exile from the graveyard, because it's not going to do anything else for you at that point. But and then it transforms into Iceberg Titan, which is an artifact creature golem. And you can kind of see it inside of the Inverted Iceberg icicle. Yeah. Whenever Iceberg Titan attacks, you may tap or untap target artifact or creature. Okay. That's pretty neat. I'll say that's a pretty neat card. I don't like the mill, so I won't save it or try to get it for a deck in real life, and I'm probably not going to put it in a deck on here. But it having a 6/6 creature, like artifact creature like that, and it costs a card, or exiling a card, like you mill a card, you exile a different card, whether it's from a graveyard or on the battlefield, to get the OP side of the card. Not sure that I like all that you have to do to get there, but I do like the end result. It is a neat card. But we'll move on. Walk with the Ancestors. It is a 5-drop sorcery. Return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Discover 4. Okay. So if you're running a blue-green deck, then you can use Inverted Iceberg, and then that milled card, if it's not an artifact, and you have to have an artifact from either deeper in the graveyard or on your battlefield thing, you can always return that non-artifact card that you milled to your hand, so then it's not a total loss. But I don't see myself making a blue-green deck, so I'm going to have to say no to both of them. But let's find out what Discover 4 is. Exile cards from the top of your library, already don't like it, until you exile a non-land card with mana value 4 or less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, or put it into your hand. Why would you not cast it without paying its mana cost? Why would you put it in your hand to when then you would have to pay the mana cost to play it? That seems kind of like a bad choice. But anyways, put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Okay, so it's not a permanent exile of the top cards of your library. It just puts them in the bottom, which you will probably not get to in most games of MTG. So it's essentially taking them out of the game, but it's not actually taking them out of the game. So not nearly as bad as I thought the Discover mechanic would be. So I'll give it a pass. These first 2 cards are not bad cards. Not bad cards in the slightest. I don't think I'll use them at any point. Then we got a common wild card and an uncommon wild card. We have Burning Sun Cavalry, which is a 2-drop creature human knight. When Burning Sun Cavalry attacks or blocks while you control a dinosaur, Burning Sun Cavalry gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Alright, that's not bad. And it's a 2/2. That's not bad at all. I don't think I have enough dinosaurs to properly do a dinosaur deck to accompany this, but it is a neat card, and I think it's a good card nonetheless. Hunter's Blowgun is a 1-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creatures get +1/+1. Equipped creature has Death Touch as long as it's your turn. Otherwise, it has Reach. Huh. That's interesting. And the equip cost is 2 mana. That's actually a very interesting concept. I don't think I've ever seen an equipment that changes an ability or a status that your enchanted creature, your equipped creature, gets based on whose turn it is. Because Death Touch is really good offensively. It's also good defensively. But with this equipment, you're only going to get it offensively. And Reach is only good defensively, because it's all about being able to block creatures with flying when you yourself do not have flying. So Reach is a good defensive one. Death Touch is a good for both, but having it only for offense is not a terrible thing. So I think this is a very useful equipment. Plus the +1/+1 counter definitely makes a good, well-rounded equipment. So you get a little bit of buffing, and you get Death Touch when it's your turn, and then you get Reach when it's not your turn. That I like. Anyways, moving on to Thrashing Brontodon. It is a 3-drop creature dinosaur. You can pay 1 of any mana, sacrifice Thrashing Brontodon, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And it's a 3/4. I feel like you would have to be pretty desperate to destroy an artifact or enchantment in order to sacrifice this very decent, both in mana cost and power and toughness creature. But the option's there. You want to pay a mana and get rid of it so you can get rid of something of theirs? Power to you. The option's there. But if I had a deck with this guy in it, I probably wouldn't use that ability very often, if at all. Because I'd rather have a 3/4 that I could probably beef up with some other card, like the equipment of the blow dart thing. Yeah, the blowgun. I give that Death Touch during my turn and Reach during not my turn. And make it a 4/5. See, that's what I'd rather do than sacrifice it. But again, never been one for sacrificing things to get the means, for the means of the ends. The ends justifying the means, but, you know, worded differently for the... it was supposed to sound pretty cool, but it didn't. So, in other words, I don't want the ends justifying sacrificing as the means. See, that. There you go. Anyways, last card of the back. And it's a Planeswalker. Oh, okay. It's Quintorius Canned, or Canned. I'm going to go with Canned. At least until I'm proven otherwise. It's a 5-drop legendary Planeswalker Quintorius. When you cast a spell from exile, Quintorius Canned deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. It's a pretty neat ability. Putting 1 token, 1 counter on it, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token, shown there on the right. You can take 3 off and discover 4, or you can take 6 off and exile any number of target cards from your graveyard. Add red mana for each card exiled this way. You may play those cards this turn. Oh, that's really cool. It's expensive, but it's really cool. It starts off with 4. So you have to create at least 3 of those tokens before you can do the 3rd thing without killing the Planeswalker outright. Unless you want to do a sacrifice play, which not my style, obviously, I've stated multiple times, but create 2 of the tokens and then use all 6 that you now have on exiling and playing all those, which would get rid of the Planeswalker. It would die from that, but yeah. Honestly, I'd probably abuse the +1 for as long as I can. Let's say I had I'm talking once again the physical game. Let's say I had like 20 of those spirit tokens in my token stack. I'd probably get every single one of them out before I use the -6 first a single time. And at that point, I'd have 24 to work with. So I could do it 4 times before killing the Planeswalker. And that's if I don't want to, replenish any that might die throughout the process. any of the spirit tokens. Yeah. So this is definitely a planeswalker that I would probably be interested in. Not usually one for the white mana, like I've said before. But I would make a deck for that. But we are going to move on to the next pack. And that said 3. So did I have 4 of these to begin with? We might. No, we've already gone over an hour. We might as well finish through the Lost Caverns. So, I'll try to be a little more expedient. That way we're not here for 2 hours doing this, but I make no promises. Anyways, Iron Paw Aspirant is a 2-drop creature, cat warrior. When Iron Paw Aspirant enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. And it is a 1/2. Alright. Thousand Moons Crackshot. Okay, that's an interesting name. It's a 2-drop creature, human soldier. Whenever Thousand Moons Crackshot attacks, you may pay 2 of any mana and 1 white. When you do, tap target creature. And it is a 2/2. It's honestly pretty cool because then you can tap whatever creature they're using to block with. And then they can't. And then you can do your 2 damage. Fair enough. Buried Treasure is a 2-drop artifact treasure. You can tap and sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color. So it's literally just a treasure token. Just a specific kind of treasure token. Or you can pay 5, exile Buried Treasure from your graveyard, discover 5, active only as a sorcery. So it's a treasure token with more you can do. So we've already been over Discover. So we'll move on to the next card, which is Dowsing Device, which is a 2-drop artifact. When Dowsing Device or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, up to 1 target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Then transform Dowsing Device if you control 4 or more artifacts. And it transforms into Geode Grotto, which is a land cave. Okay, so a cave is a land. We now see a cave card. It looks really cool. Not sure what defines it other than that. Because so far it seems like a simple land with an additional ability, which, you know, we've seen lands that are like non-basic lands all the time that have additional abilities. So I don't know if that is just going to be a cave thing from here on out or what, but I think it's interesting. I'm not sure how interesting, but at least it's visually appealing and has my attention. Of course, you could tap to add 1 red mana, so it's a mountain land card essentially. Plus, you can pay 2 of any and 1 red, and then tap until end of turn. Target creature gains haste and gets +X/+0, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting, no doubt. Okay. I honestly like this one. I will take a picture of it, save it. I have to take a horizontal picture. That's that. Okay. Now we got Poison Dart Frog. Wasn't expecting a simple animal card like this, but here we are. It's a 2-drop creature frog. With reach, add 1 mana of any color if you tap it. Okay, so it's a mana dork. Pretty standard for a green low-cost creature. You can also pay 2. Poison Dart Frog gains Death Touch until end of turn. And it's a 1/1.
Motherfucker, I'm a goddamn frog.
Okay. Now we've got Brazen Blade Master, which is a 3. I did say that the frog was a 1/1, right? If not, it's a 1/1. And this one is a 3-drop creature orc pirate. Whenever Brazen Blade Master enters, attacks, while you control 2 or more artifacts, it gets +2/+1 until end of turn. It starts off as a 2/3. A lot of depending on artifacts in this expansion, the Caverns one. I'm not against it. I do like artifacts. In fact, I have an entire colorless artifact commander deck, which is illegal as crap because the commander is Platinum Angel. But I digress. So I'm not opposed to the artifacts. I think it's kind of cool that they're paying a little more attention to them in this one. So props to them. I've got now Merfolk Cave Diver. It's a 3-drop creature Merfolk Scout. Whenever a creature you control explores, Merfolk Cave Diver gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. And it's a 2/4. Alright. Gives a little more validity to using the explore mechanic. Okay. Now, last card of the pack. Restless Anchorage. It's a land. Restless Anchorage enters the battlefield tapped, as is the case with a lot of non-basic lands. Which is honestly kind of annoying, but I digress. You can tap to either add white or blue mana, pretty standard, and you can pay 1 of any, 1 white and 1 blue, and until end of turn, Restless Anchorage becomes a 2/3 white and blue bird creature with flying. It is still a land. Whenever Restless Anchorage attacks, create a map token. So that's a pretty neat way of getting a map token going on. But I'm not huge on the map token thing. I think it's neat, but yeah. It's okay. I'm not the biggest person on the whole exploring and the It's probably something that I won't mind using if I do add it to a deck of any kind, but it's not something that I'm going to go out of my way to try to implement into a deck. I'm very neutral on the explore mechanic and the map tokens. Okay, we got 2 more of these. So I think I had 4 of these to begin with. Mineshaft Spider is a 4-drop creature spider. with reach. When Mineshaft Spider enters the battlefield, you may mill 2 cards. You may? Because I'd rather not, if that's the case. If I may mill 2 cards, no is my answer. If I have to, then I don't have a choice. It's a 3/4. I'm tired of looking at it. I don't want to look at it anymore. Plundering Pirate. It's a 3-drop creature orc pirate. A lot of orc pirates in this one. When Plundering Pirate enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. And we all know what a treasure token does. You tap it, you sacrifice it, you add a mana of any color. And then this is a 3/2. Alright. Petrify. It's a 2-drop enchantment aura. Enchant artifact or creature. Enchanted permanent can't attack or block. And its activated abilities can't be activated. So that's exactly how I described Pacify, except for I'm unsure of the second part of the ability for Pacify. But Petrify, same kind of deal. Whether it pretty much pacifies the target creature or artifact. And this one definitely hinders any of its abilities. Whereas Pacify, I don't remember if it does or not. But, yeah. By the way, there you go. Cineas Benthasar. Cineas Benthasar is a 6-drop creature dinosaur. When Cineas Benthasar enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of caves you control. Okay. Plus the number of cave cards in your graveyard. So basically, X is the number of caves that you've played this game so far. I'm not trying to nitpick the wording. I'm not trying to. I kind of am, but like, it's perfectly fine the way that it says it. It could have been shorter, especially because of how it fills the entire text box of the card with what it says. But put 2 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay. So it really doesn't matter what X is if it's more than 2. I mean, you get a more variety to pick 2 of when X is higher than 2. But honestly, if I played this card, I'd probably play it when I have exactly 2 caves in total, whether it be on the battlefield or in my graveyard. Just so I can be like, I'm just gonna draw 2 cards, essentially. So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be against using it if there's more than 2. But I'd probably just use it if there's exactly 2. Just so I'm not putting any cards on the bottom of my library. I'm just pulling 2 and being like, I've got 2. But yeah, and this is a 4/4, by the way. We're going to move on to Orazka Puzzle Door. It's a 1-drop artifact. Pay 1 and tap. Sacrifice Orazka Puzzle Door. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 of those cards into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Okay. I think it's a cool draw 2 cards and keep 1, discard 1 kind of deal. It's not something I'd probably use on a regular, but if I need extra cards to fill out a standard 60 or a Commander 100 deck, might slip one in there. Okay, Echo of Dusk is a 2-drop creature vampire spirit with Descend 4. It still doesn't tell me what Descend does. Okay, game. Tells me what Lifelink is, but doesn't tell me what Descend is. As long as there are 4 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, Echo the Dusk gets +1/+1 and has Lifelink. And it's a 2/2. Gold Fury Strider is a 5-drop artifact creature golem with Trample. Tap 2 untapped artifact Tap 2 artifacts and or creatures you control. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Right. Last card. Unstable Glyph Bridge. It's a 5-drop artifact. When Unstable Glyph Bridge enters the battlefield, if you cast it, for each player, choose a creature with power 2 or less that player controls. Then destroy all creatures except creatures chosen this way. Oh. It's an almost board wipe card. That's kind of OP. And then it's got the craft with artifacts. So basically, get rid of an artifact from your great. Yeah. Get rid of an artifact and transform. It transforms into Sandswirl Wanderglyph, which is an artifact creature golem with flying. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during their turn, they can't attack you or planeswalkers you control this turn. So basically it nullifies haste. It nullifies haste and gives summoning sickness to creatures that don't have it anymore. Okay, essentially it's if your opponent casts a spell, if it's a creature, it whether it has haste or not, it has summoning sickness, and then literally all of their creatures have summoning sickness at that point. Or all the creatures they have on the battlefield get summoning sickness because they didn't play a creature, they just did some other spell. Yeah. Which is very useful. And each opponent who attacked you or a planeswalker you control this turn can't cast spells. Oh. Okay, so that's even more interesting. And this card, the golem's a 5/3. But that's very interesting. So if they cast a spell, they can't attack. If they attack, they can't cast spells. So basically, it's just like you can do one or the other, but not both. For as long as this artifact creature is on the battlefield. Pretty much. Now, obviously, if they cast a spell not during their turn, like so instants and stuff like that's different. But when it comes to their turn, they can either choose to cast something or they can choose to attack, but not both. I think that's a very interesting card. This honestly is a very, very interesting card. I am going to take a picture of it. I don't really do that with the white cards and stuff like that because I don't usually play white. Like, I usually don't run white decks or anything like that. But that's probably one of the most interesting white mana cards I've seen in quite a while. So, we've got one last pack. And we've gone on for almost an hour and a half. But we're going to open it anyway. I'm not going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger. Oh, we got a wild card from that. Cool. Okay, we're going to start off with, a cave. Hidden Necropolis. What was the one mechanic it kept not telling me what about? Because I don't think... Was it Discover? Because, like... I know what that does. Discover 4. And I've read that before. What was the other thing? Or was it another thing? I honestly don't know. Now I'm conflicted because, like, I'm thinking the other thing was Discover and it wasn't telling me what Discover did, but, like, no, it was Descend. It was Descend. Okay, yeah, I still don't know what Descend does, but I do know what Discover does. And now that I've gotten that sorted out, we can finally get to the Hidden Necropolis, which is a land cave. Hidden Necropolis enters the battlefield tapped. Pretty standard for non-basic lands. And this one has a standard border, so it's not... The other one wasn't how all caves look, so that docks a point from its interestingness or intrigued, like how intrigued I am with them. It's basically just a subcategory of land that doesn't really seem to do very much more than other non-basic lands. But regardless, you can tap to add black mana, which is normal. And then you can pay 4 of any color and 1 black. And you can tap and you can sacrifice Hidden Necropolis, discover 4, and activate it only as a sorcery. Okay. We've already seen Basking Capybara. That's a common wild card. Zoyowa's Justice is a 2-drop instant. The owner of target artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles it into their library. Then that player discovers X, where X is its mana value. See, that would have been a better way of wording that other one that I was complaining about. Like, the owner of a target artifact or creature with da-da-da, like, does this or that, whatever. See, that's better. I'm done bringing up the other things. Mostly because we literally only have 2 more cards because we've seen this one and we've seen this one. So we've got Acrobatic Leap, which is a 1-drop instant. Target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying until end of turn. Untap it. Alright. And then we've got the last card of the stream, which is Warden of the Inner Sky, which is a 1-drop creature human soldier. As long as Warden of the Inner Sky has 3 or more counters on it, it has flying and vigilance. Okay. Tap 3 untapped. Tap 3 artifacts and or creatures you control. Put a 1/1 counter on Warden of the Inner Sky. Scry 1. Activate only as a sorcery. So, okay. So, on its own, it has its own counter system to where it can put counters on itself. So you can get to the point where it has flying and vigilance on its own. And then, of course, if you put counters on it through other means as well, you could hasten that process. It has a scrying mechanic, which is nice. All in all, it's a really good white creature card. And it's a 1/2. So, not very beefy, not very costly, but an interesting one nonetheless. And you can beef it up. All you have to do is tap 3 artifacts and or creatures every turn. Just keep doing it, beefs it up, and after the 3rd time, you're getting flying and vigilance added to it, which makes it even better, and then you can keep boosting it from there. So you just gotta keep it alive, which is pretty easy when you consider what you can have in white decks, because it is a lot about healing and protection and then boosting each other and then boosting themselves. So it play well. Yeah. So we're going to continue. And then we've got 3 Cons of Tarkir. And then we've got the Murders at Kravlov Manor, the specially golden bounded one. And then we've got 4 of the newest Murders at Karlov? No, it's Karlov Manor. For a second there, I thought I was going to be like, wait, is it Kaklov? No, it's Karlov Manor. Murders at Karlov Manor. So, current game plan is to do a shorter one of these next time, just get through the Cons of Tarkir, and then at long last we can catch up with all the packs that we have and have one dedicated to the Murders of Karlov Manor. Sound good? Sound good. Alright. With all that, then I'm going to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, please do leave a like, and if you're new and haven't done so already, subscribe. Consider joining the channel membership for $1 a month. You get a shout out among other things. There are important links down in the description below you should definitely check out. And at some point after this becomes a video, VOD, whatever you want to call it, there will be a video and a playlist or 2 videos or whatever on screen, so you can continue your watching journey here on my channel, if you so choose. So, with all that said, I will see you guys in the next one.